if you had an adult son or daughter with a learning disability, what would you prefer? That they had a job they enjoyed that took them outside the home, that earned them a little money but a big kick? Or they spent all their time at home with nothing to do and nothing to fill their days? For almost all of those with learning disabilities, their reality is the latter. Of the 1.4 million people in the UK with a learning disability, 1.3 million of them are unemployed. And one of the main causes of this sad state of affairs is the mandatory minimum wage, which is now over £7 an hour. The mother of one such young woman, Rosa Monckton, is tackling this head-on. She's founded a training centre in Cafe, Team Domenica, named after her daughter who has Down syndrome. She's there in the middle. Monckton is brave enough to say in public that not all work is of equal value and says there should be a therapeutic exemption from the mandatory minimum wage for people with learning disabilities. And I agree. The rising minimum wage keeps almost all people with learning disabilities from the dignity of a paid, even if low-paid, job. I'm on Team Domenica.
Rachel,
yes?
I'm really passionate about this from a diversity standpoint. I think the real issue here isn't the minimum wage. The real issue here is discrimination. Yeah. And I don't think that we should be tackling discrimination with more discrimination, because actually what we need is a skills audit, because where learning disabilities are concerned, there are certain disabilities that are suited to certain tasks. So if you're looking at people with Down syndrome, a lot of them actually enjoy repetitive tasks. So if we then make sure that we educate employers better on this, there are jobs that they are suited for, that they will do efficiently, better than most of us, that we can actually pay them the fair amount for, with the right training. The issue here is discrimination. The issue is not the amount of money, because there are many sectors within our economy that those people could be employed in. I just think,
I hear your point. I think it's a one-off thing. Yes, go on.
Also re-say, we have to re-look at who we value in our society and how we value them.
Yes.
We need to re-look at how we discriminate in this society.
Okay.
And paying people
I'm
less
going to get
is not
Nick
the way
to come in,
it.
but just to say that businesses are not charities. And
this isn't a charity. If somebody is better at a task, why wouldn't you employ them there?
Because when they are faced with two candidates,
that they're not.
A candidate with a learning disability and an able-bodied, not intellectually impaired candidate, I am afraid, June, they are most likely to go for the one who, the able-bodied, not intellectually impaired one, unless they have an opt-out, possibly, from the mandatory minimum wage, which allows them to take on the other person.
Rachel, can I make one more point where that's concerned? That's just wrong, because if we educate people in terms of how you employ society, the government, yes, back to
June,
the government.
I'm sorry, we've have to stop Sunshine and Rainbows now. I'm afraid I want to hear from Nick.
It's a skills audit.
Very, very briefly, I was privileged to have Rosa Monckton come on my radio show. I have to tell you guys, rarely can I recall something that so divided the people who then subsequently phoned or texted. And interestingly enough, the ones who are totally in support of what Rosa said, and I actually put to Rosa Monckton, are you honestly saying that you've got two girls who are stacking the shelves of a supermarket and you're actually going to pay one less? And to credit to her, she said, yes, I am, because it will take her longer, or him, to put the tins of beans on the shelves than it would a regular person, quotes regular, or someone without those setbacks. And what was fascinating is that when people phoned in, the parents or grandparents or relatives of those with these sort of learning disabilities were wholly supportive, and they used the word you used, it's dignity, it's better they go out, they merge with people, and it was often the case the ones who opposed it were ones who did not have children with these learning disabilities, and I think that's a really important point to back you up.
We persuaded Rosa to come on our show as well and to explain what the reaction she had from having said we should pay the people with learning disabilities less than the minimum wage. Let's have it.
Last week, I wrote an article in Spectator suggesting that there should be a therapeutic exemption for the minimum wage. I had no idea quite what a controversial subject this would be. I've had absolutely dreadful trolling online, but much more importantly, I have received a barrage of emails from parents, from siblings, saying please be our voice. People with learning disabilities do not have a voice. Fight on. So that's what I'm going to do.
Rosa, to my mind, should become the Minister for People with Learning Disabilities. She would be the most excellent advocate. Michelle?
Well, what I think is, I am so frustrated with living in a world where everybody's trying to be politically correct and avoid...
politically correct.
We don't know what I'm going to say is politically correct yet. So we live in a world where so many people are trying to be politically correct and not offend other people. And often we do it with good intentions. But what we are in danger of, we must listen. This lady, I think she's remarkable, and I respect her greatly because she has experience that I don't have. So when I heard this topic, and I heard it, I was aghast at the absolutely, like, I couldn't get my head around the concept of paying somebody with a disability less than somebody without one. I couldn't get my head around it. It felt completely wrong. I was outraged. And then I stopped and then I listened to her and I read her article. She knows more about it than I do, and she is affected. And if she is in that experience, if her family is experiencing this and she is saying that this is what is right, then I respect that and I will listen to that all day long.
But if you listen, if you read what MenCap say,
yes,
they say, however, our experience from working with thousands of people with a learning disability and hundreds of employers is that the minimum or living wage is not the main barrier towards finding work.
That's possibly true.
It's discrimination.
But it is one barrier.
But it clearly is one barrier, and perhaps you could overcome that barrier another way around by supporting...
Yeah, but giving companies a lever to get these people
companies
into
financial
the
support to take these people into might be a better way. Because once you start having exceptions to the minimum wage, this won't be the only one. You will end up with a lot of exceptions.
With a lot.
But Nick, we already have tons of exceptions to the minimum wage. We've got unpaid internships. My children have been offered them that last up to a year.
No, but that's for a specified amount of time. This is saying forever. There's no way we can compare those two. That's a false comparison.
It's up to employers, June. It's not mandatory.
Looking at young people like Rose Monckton's daughter, at the end of the day, for her, stacking shelves could be a career. For lots of able-bodied young people that don't do that job, it's for a short period of time. So my point is we need to relook at how we value people in this society. And to say that can be your contribution to society.
You talk about value. Just listen back to what Rachel said in her introduction, which was very well written, so clearly your brother wrote it, where he talked about having the dignity...
Women's Day,
misogyny,
sexism... The dignity... I'm sure I'll get human resources on it. The dignity... Wouldn't you rather that young bloke or young girl goes out and works in that supermarket, or in Dominica's case, works in the cafe, than sits at home eating junk food in front of a telly thinking, and just buys out of society?
Yes, I would. And what I'm saying is we need to look at discrimination.
Not just
we need to look at discrimination.
Value is not simply determined in society by the monetary value you put on somebody. It's one way. Another way is by saying, I want you in our community, I want you in our small business.
It does say who we think is worth more.
You're part of the team, the family.
Yes, it does. If you're doing the same job, if I'm paying somebody less for the same job, I'm saying that person is worth less than that one. And I don't buy that. Sorry.